Okay.
Are we connected to the Wi-Fi here?
We're here. It's live. Patio Fagans. Lake and Halstead, Halstead and Lake. Thanks to Patrick for having us. Sitting here with Anthony Curran. How's it going?
Pretty good, Jim. Thanks for having me.
All right. You're going to pull that right to the edge of the table. Then talk right over the top.
Talk right into the head?
There you go. Yeah, should be used to that. So we're not quite as... we're not sitting as close together as we were last time we demoed this.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. So...
Judge ruled that was in violation.
Yeah. Usually it's supposed to be 50 feet, I think, but we'll let it slide in this particular case.
Violation of the restraining order.
The restraining order, until the restraining order is lifted.
Under the stalking clause.
Indeed. So,
Me and
there's some
several
patrons
women up in the Rockford area
Yeah.
have joined the Me Too movement.
So other than the several women in the Niagara Falls region, what was that kid's name? I don't remember that kid's name.
It was 16 Candles.
16, no, Breakfast Club.
Same group of people.
Same group of
Slightly
people. That's right,
different
right,
movie.
right. Slightly different group of people.
16 Candles, one of the famous movies that cannot be made today.
No, you cannot make. There's add it to
We're
the
not
list.
even allowed to laugh at those.
Add it to the list of movies that Harvey Weinstein would not be permitted to produce in 2019.
I'm sure he has several director's cuts that are sitting on the shelves that make for a very interesting evening over in the trailer he's living in now.
It does. It makes you wonder how many scripts are dying on the shelf right now.
I was listening to somebody yesterday, and it said it's staggering the number of great movies in the can, sitting on a shelf, and they're just slowly rotting there. And
Yeah.
hopefully, before we die, that they'll sneak them out on YouTube so we can enjoy a true chuckle.
Right.
And
That's
you know they're all
correct.
going to be outdated. Perhaps something's not. I don't know. Can we get out? Have we gone from a period of time where you could not laugh at something at one point, now you can? Or does it only go one way? Because we certainly can't laugh at half the stuff that we find hilarious.
That's a good point. I cannot think of anything that you can laugh at today.
Well, we should commemorate. This is day one of the Lightfoot era in Chicago. City of the Big Shoulders.
That is true.
Has now become city of the
LGBTQ
diminutive,
community.
Ohio transplants.
Yeah.
The height of identity politics has come to Chicago.
Did you see that they threw themselves a hell of a shindig over at the Wintrust Center? Did you see this?
Well, for the inauguration
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah.
Did they fill up? Where they got about 20,000 people out there?
I don't know, but why don't they just have like the inauguration over at like City Hall?
Hey, how was anything able to get done with all those people taking a half day over there?
Right.
Full day, probably.
A full day. I'm sure that they went
Could
over
you
to
imagine?
right, yeah, went over to
Could you
lunch.
imagine that giant sucking sound coming from that arena, sucking up at the public teeth?
Yeah, I just don't get it. I'm like,
Very good to meet you, Mayor.
yeah,
Your Excellency, Your Honor.
Your Honor, His Honor, Your Honor. What do we call you, Madam? Madam?
I don't believe I met your wife. Your Honor. Judge, I don't believe I met your wife. Your Honor.
Well, I think the first joke that came up would Mayor Lightfoot like to stand up and take a bow? Oh, sorry. She is standing.
Little feet dangling at the children's table.
Right.
Sure. Wait, have we had a tall mayor? When was the last tall mayor?
Well, Rahm's tall. Rahm's normal height.
No, Rahm is short.
No.
Rahm is short.
Like 5'7" short, like 5'5"
5'9"
short.
is short.
5'9" is short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you only hear that height helps you. Richard Daley's short. Prior to that was,
We might be onto something here.
well, it was Harold Washington, but it was Eugene Sawyer for interim, right?
Yeah.
We had somebody like David Orr for 12 hours or something like that, and then it was Harold.
Yep.
And prior to Harold was Jane Byrne.
Correct. Michael Belandic.
Michael Belandic, Mayor Daley won.
Yeah.
And then we get back into Ebenezer, Vandalay or somebody.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
No, it goes back to like
Yeah, but Lightfoot is especially short.
Thompson was before then, I believe that. Something like
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't get
Lightfoot
it.
is
how,
diminutive.
Yeah, she's
Smallest person in her household.
smallest person in her class. Voted most likely to need a step stool to wash her hands in the public bathroom.
She succeeded despite it all.
Exceeded what?
Succeeded despite it all.
That's right. That's right.
We have
Became
an
a lawyer,
after-school
became a
special.
prosecutor, became a federal prosecutor.
Did she go to U of C law school?
Don't know.
Whatever. The Midwest Chicago seems to attract the Midwest.
Out of USC.
No. I think Chicago attracts the Midwest, salutatorian class of people that they don't stay to make Sheboygan nicer. They don't stay to make
Oh,
Steubenville nicer.
right.
They gravitate toward, and they seem to go. She's from Massillon, Ohio, which is not too far from Akron and Cleveland. They tend not to go in that simple direction. We get a lot of Iowa. Like, how often does that go by?
So often you won't even notice.
We attract Joe Moreno, Proco Joe. He was from Iowa.
He was from
Iowa.
Yeah. Now he's indicted.
Yeah, we're currently sitting at 4 indicted, under charge, and 1 under FBI surveillance.
That's 5 in total.
That's around 10% if you're keeping score at
Out of 50,
home.
Yeah, if you're keeping for those
If you're not, try flowers.
statisticians in the group. 10% of the Chicago City Council is either indicted.
Well, you could probably say he's not in the city council anymore.
Who's not in the
because
city council?
He got voted down by an eyelash.
Who?
Proco Joe. He lost his election close.
Oh, he's out.
He's out. Who's that fellow up in North Center? O'Connor. He's still in by an eyelash.
Right, and we talked about how last time we talked about how Deb Mell lost her race.
Deb Mell. Yeah, so we're about even on the group of young ladies there.
Yeah.
So
That's it. What else is going on?
We got a lot of incoming. Well, what's our current score on Democratic Socialists?
We're keeping score on the Democratic Socialists?
Yeah.
Oh, here in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many do we got now?
Are we leading the league yet, or New York City's ready to throw out on theirs? De Blasio is ready to.
You think they're going to get rid of de Blasio?
I love him, like him, hate him.
De Blasio, he's kind of like,
subway
isn't
is
he he's like the Kevin Trudeau of New York, right? Or Kevin Trudeau is sort of he's the Mayor de
Wait, are you
Blasio
talking
of
about? Wait, no. Are you talking about Trudeau from Canada?
Yeah.
Or Kevin Trudeau from the infomercial?
Well, it could be both, actually, although
No,
Kevin Trudeau,
no,
I think
Pierre
Kevin Trudeau
Trudeau.
is serving time.
Was it Pierre Trudeau from Canada?
I don't know what his first name is.
Yeah, it's Trudeau.
He's
Trudeau.
Fidel
He's a
Castro's
Zoolander.
son, right? His
Right,
wife went down to
Zoolander.
Cuba, did a little bit with Fidel. Well, you've seen the baby pictures, right? I mean, it's separated at birth. It's staggering. So we have Fidel Castro's son as prime minister in Canada.
We finally got Castro to die on his own, and he regenerates himself to our north.
Right. Canada managed just to bring
We'll
the
never get
DNA
those
back to
cigars
life.
that we need.
So, but you think
Are we
that?
allowed to? What are we rated here? PG-13?
No,
R?
it's anything goes.
We are effed.
That's
We are
it.
so effed.
It's anything goes.
You take a look at it in any fashion. Step outside of your environment and look down and you say, what do you think about that area? I would.
What area?
Would you buy this if Chicago were a used car? Would you buy it?
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about.
This is a shiny BMW with suspiciously low miles and a suspiciously clean Carfax.
Yeah.
With a lot of armor all.
Yeah, being
you might
offered
wanna stay away from that
at
one.
80% under blue book value for whatever reason.
And a very motivated seller.
Motivated seller. Well, and that's
Who
why
doesn't let you look in the check the VIN numbers to see if they match.
Right, that's right. Check the VIN numbers, check the Carfax. Right, you're buying a BMW 5 Series, but for some reason the VIN number comes back as a Chevy Impala. That's the can't figure out what's going on. Apparently the car spent some time on the west side.
It's two-tone blue. One tone of blue on the left side, and
Right.
slightly darker on the right side. But it's one car. I can
One
assure
car.
you it's the same car.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's the we talked about. We're going to have some real estate people come on, and then we can give them shit about how the real estate market is dying because our city fathers don't know how to manage their finances.
It's only a matter of time before the other shoe drops, and it'll be a big shoe. There's the big event in Chicago in the summer for those under 25 years old, and extending through the Midwest for at least 100 miles around. It's Lollapalooza.
Sure.
And that lasts about 3-4 days. The other 361 days a year is what we call in Chicago Taxapalooza. And everywhere you look, it's a festival of taxes. It's hard to imagine getting up in the morning and seeing how long you can go without getting hit by paying up.
Well, no, the taxes run even when you sleep. Right.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's
it's a moment. It's like a dripping faucet.
It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation.
It is. Extend it to wherever you want, from your legitimate property taxes, and those are substantial, and people really feel those. Those are
You got to speak up.
multiples, and those are those are in multiples of $1,000. But then it gets all the way down to the plastic bag tax, where that's multiples of 7 cents, and it affects the mood, I think. A lot of folks that don't seem to know, they are the frogs that have been boiled. They don't seem to notice that it's crept up.
You and I have talked about this, right? The idea that the taxes, the uber rich don't care because they enjoy living here. They go to the opera. They're politically connected. They might live here, but they might actually claim residency in Tennessee or Florida or somewhere else.
They're a bit disturbed by all the poor people driving Ubers around and crowding the space.
Yeah.
Seems to take quite a long time to get from one end of
But it's the
downtown
middle
to next.
class that gets hit the hardest with the property
If there's-
transfer tax and the
if they're
gas
gonna
tax.
stick around.
And,
If they're sticking around. Eventually, the people, they can say one thing, they can vote one thing. The telling thing is, are they sticking around? Are they sticking around to raise a family, which says, I have the true mark of confidence you have in an area. Young people come in here because young people have to be near other young people. Don't want to be a single person in Sandwich, Illinois. Don't want in Sandwich, Illinois, but your pool of available or friends and potential mates is only so large. It's much better to be in a deeper pond.
Yeah, without a doubt. We've talked about this, right? And that the idea is the big cities are not going to die. Chicago's not going to die because there's an unlimited source of young people in Sheboygan and Ames, Iowa, and they're like, I don't want to live here anymore.
I would say from Missouri, the surrounding 5 states, is it?
Sure, everything from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan.
5, call Michigan as well.
Yep.
The surrounding 5 states, you really are the biggie of them all.
And the kids are willing to come here. They go to Mizzou. They get a degree in feminist studies or Asian interpretive dance.
Sure.
And then they want to come here, and they're willing to live.
They'll be happy to run your human resources department for you.
Yeah, but the issue is that they're willing to live in some cold water flat 2-bedroom apartment with two roommates down in Pilsen for $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month because they're living in the city.
Yep.
So they're happy as a clam. And they're not. And I think there's a fundamental thing.
Dorm room 2.0.
Yeah, that's right. It's dorm room. It's right. It's the next 4 years of their lives, and it's just like the last 4 years of their lives.
Yep.
And they fundamentally don't understand what it's like to get married, be married, have 2 or 3 kids, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid, put them through a school system, have bills to pay, and then go, oh, by the way, right, J.B. Pritzker is going to raise the gas tax 25 cents a gallon.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't own a car, right?
Well, they don't own a car. They don't even know how to drive.
Right. They don't own a car, so it doesn't affect them.
Right.
As if, these Uber vehicles. Well, that's on they're on an electric car. We'll just go to electric.
Yeah, and
we'll raise $1,000 on that. Does it ever affect them? Did they ever see a trickle down? I mean, you mock trickle down economics. True trickle down economics. Look at the taxes. Eventually, you're paying more, and it gets starts to add up in time. I've been in the city for a long time. You know that. You have too. And I've known quite a number of young people, and I've seen the cycle run through. They stick along for as long as they can, and there was a natural progression, the forever, that there was a steady progression. They inched out. They needed a little bit more space. They wanted to buy something. It became a little bit more affordable the further from the city you went, the center of the city you went. There were more of the friends were out that way anyway by that point. So that was going on. I've seen that change. I've seen the younger folks, let's say in their 20s, married couple. They seem to be making a change of, maybe not Oak Park, maybe not St. Charles, maybe not Orland. Maybe we start thinking further. And so Denver, my wife and I probably knew in a 5-year stretch, 6 couples that had simply found their way to Denver. So
from here,
there were Chicago. Both sides were from Chicago. So that's happening. We had a discussion the other day about a fellow elected official, Will Guzzardi. He had quoted at a city club luncheon in a nice panel discussion, informative, a variety of people. So Will Guzzardi quoted, he said that number one, taxes don't mean anything because the top destinations for people that move out of Chicago earning over $100,000 a year are New York, Los Angeles, and Minnesota.
Oh, this is that goofball on Twitter.
The Will Guzzardi, he's an elected official. I think he's an alderman. Doesn't really matter if they were aldermen for now. They're, state reps very soon after, and not a native Chicagoan. That's fine. You can do this. So he moved on, and right at 6 in the morning, I noticed that's false. That's not even true. You could look that up, and I did a little bit of homework. From 6 to 6:15, I got an emergency homework assignment, and turned out no. The number 2 destination was Houston. That's in Texas. The fact that he's using is over $100K a year. Well, Chicago does have a financial pipeline to New York City, and that's clear. So there's transfers going on back and forth, and 100 in the financial community is not that high. It's expensive to stick with that crowd too. And in New York's, they're probably giggling when they get somebody come from Chicago to work for $100K, because the first guy usually wants to discuss a raise soon after. It's very pricey to live there, and the level of comfort, living standard, etc., is not comparable at that same price. So, aside from that, they use that fact, and the guy, I'm sure he believes it. He thinks that, oh, well, it doesn't matter. If taxes don't matter, why don't just, tax up, up beyond belief? Let the government spending rise to whatever you feel comfort. We've promised everybody pensions that we have no possible way of paying. Let it go. And what happens? The trickle out occurs. People trickle out. They don't have to move to a particular metropolitan area, but the trickle occurs. They flow out, and steadily as they leave, we felt it. The voice is small, very quiet. There's only a handful of media that all of Chicago can listen to. Sun-Times was lost long ago. They don't have any. It's not really a full media outlet, I wouldn't call them by any stretch. Tribune, as we understand, has full-blown TDS since 2016. It's unreadable.
Yeah.
They have difficulty reporting the crime actions that they're so bad.
Well, there's something about the Tribune that it's the Tribune has started to report like on the crime stories, they've actually reported the race of the accused. And this is like within the last 2 weeks.
They had a very difficult time doing that.
For a long time.
For a long time. It was,
Right.
You would have thought the kids in Streeterville were the worst of the worst.
Right.
Boy, those
The
kids
parents-
in Streeterville.
the parents-
I don't know, the parents in Streeterville
Yeah.
do not have
Something-
any control over the
Yeah,
children.
something about the children. The parents in Streeterville are just shitty parents.
Completely, I
Up
don't
in
know,
Boys Town
understand
as
them.
well. Andersonville.
They all need a parenting class over there.
Yes. Yeah, I think that the mayor was going to send some people up there to give parenting classes to those people.
Very disappointing. You'd think with all that wealth.
Yeah, you'd think they'd send them to better schools or something.
So I can't imagine the schools.
No, and of course, those who don't know, the idea is Streeterville and Wrigleyville and Boys Town and Andersonville, they had massive, massive problems with youth, right?
The problem's so bad that you can't even speak its name.
Wildlings?
You can't even speak its name.
Yeah.
It's staggering. And when the outside world comes in, we're longtime Chicagoans, so we know it's almost laughable. It's hilarious. When you see it and then you see it reported and you say, you can imagine being an outsider trying to read that and get a grip of what's going on in Chicago. My goodness, downtown's unlivable. It's going to start having a ripple effect in the more connected stakeholders. We know business owners in the River North area. They found the businesses, food, drink, entertainment businesses, are suffering drastically. And they attribute it to one thing, the Jussie Smollett larger story. Jussie Smollett calls attention to fantastic, imaginary crime that occurs in Chicago. Outside media has to rush around trying to figure it out. It's laughable on its face. Nobody's out at Chicago at midnight.
On the coldest day of the year.
Coldest night of the year, getting a Subway sandwich.
Right.
And
Because I'm a millionaire and a Subway sandwich at...
imagine its Uber Eats app must not have been working.
right.
And the only people, if somebody were to accost you on one of those nights, you would just welcome the body warmth nearby. And so, anyways,
Right.
aside from that, but it's the large number of youth flowing up through the south side into the River North area, almost on a nightly basis. I understand that they are starting to tighten up on that because it has gotten that bad. Businesses are talking about closing, so these folks don't own the property. They'll close. They'll turn over. They won't renew their lease, and the city can look at empty storefronts.
Yeah. Well, my father lives around the corner from the Chicago Avenue stop on the Red Line. And I drove over there the other day. We were going to dinner. And there were probably between State and Dearborn on the north side of the street, there were probably 10 or 12 police officers in that one half a city block.
It's on Chicago Avenue?
Yeah, on Chicago Avenue, north side of the street where there's the McDonald's.
Yep.
So
Okay.
east of the Chick-fil-A,
Sure.
right? I forget what there's.
Between the Chick-fil-A and the McDonald's.
Right, there's a park. The park used to be open. It's like owned by the McDonald's.
Gated now.
It's now gated. Yeah, you can't have
Fully
people
gated.
fully gated. Absolutely. The McDonald's, and then there's another business to the east of that on that north side of the street. I forget what it is.
Maybe a
but
check cashing place.
something like
but
that. Something like
it-
that.
Nothing, no business there that would attract criminal elements.
Right, but
by its nature.
by its
No,
nature.
By its
right.
nature. Well, McDonald's doesn't attract it. It's just
No,
happens
no,
to be
no, that's right.
McDonald's, and it's close to a troublesome CTA station. I've heard the CTA station, you can't get through it at some points. It's been on YouTube that there's been a tourist that has been beaten up in there, just wildly beaten up, and I don't think he was seriously injured, or permanently injured, but he did have to be hospitalized. So that's a tourist, and I don't know if you know who's staying at all those hotels, but you beat up one tourist, and 1,000 do not come to replace him. So there's a strong ripple effect, and there's 21% or 20% tax per night that
Yeah.
the Leviathan is not.
No, without a
seeing.
doubt. Chicago
So it
is a huge tourist mecca. Massive dollars flow in through tourism.
and once the sun comes out, you'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great. We're almost Florida on our level in tourist.
Yeah, no, that's
Tourism.
true. My understanding is actually Chicago is the most popular tourist city in the country.
Can't imagine it.
Yeah, no, it is.
New York's got to be blows away. New York's
No,
three times
this past week I had a guy I know, a friend of mine, if you will, who lives in China. He lives in Shenzhen, which is a beautiful place. I recommend everybody visit. Ding. Speaking of tourism, right? I'll promote the Chinese
I
tourism.
will.
I
I'll be
will
over
promote
in
Chinese tourism because I want to go
Shenzhen
back, and I don't want to.
immediately.
I want the Chinese government to let me buy a ticket, which is a whole other topic and for another day for those who don't understand how the Chinese social credit system works.
Well, they're probably reviewing your internet search.
That's
history.
right.
Oh, and I don't think you'll get
The bottom line, though, is
You'd
that
be
the
lucky
Chinese
if you could
government
travel to
keeps
Wisconsin.
track.
What's that?
The Chinese government keeps track of everything that you do online,
When you go to China,
and then
can
you're
you-
assigned a social score, and then you're.
When you go to China, can you hit Google? Have you tested Google?
Yeah.
over there? Can
So
you
here's how
watch-
it works. If you have a SIM card, if you have a U.S.-based SIM card
Right.
in your phone,
Yeah.
your phone works pretty much the same way that it always does. It's just a little bit slow, like noticeably slow. But if you have a Chinese SIM card, or if you're in the hotel and you connect to the hotel Wi-Fi, you do not get Google anything. No Google, no YouTube, no Facebook, no Twitter. And the Chinese government blocks like a lot of VPN services. That they block the most common VPN ports.
Searching sports to watch today. It's a good time to go till your garden.
Yeah,
It's a good time to go assemble some electronics.
but it's a good day to go work in the factory.
Oh, okay. Again,
Yes, go work in the factory.
when is Saturday coming? Not for another 6 days.
Well, they work Saturdays. Yeah, most of them work Saturdays.
Won't get any days. Do they even
No,
work
yeah,
Sundays?
it's these factories work. It's a 7-day-a-week operation. So, the way that it works is that
I'm sure yesterday was not a day off, but my phone says it
my
was.
phone, right? Every day it says, "Get up, go to work." That's what it says.
I turned off the alarm function, but it won't stop.
Right. And you laugh, but that's exactly how it works. So, I was talking to my friend, who I don't care to name because he doesn't need to be hassled by the Chinese government, but
Which is great, by the way.
which is great, by the way. And right, Chairman Payne,
Just like
Chairman
ours.
G, Chairman
Ours
G.
is
We love
nothing
Chairman
but
G.
Wonderful. We are grateful for
The
everything
you know,
they do for us.
look, the relationship with China is one of those quintessential things, right? That people get along, You can send 100 people, 100 Chinese people here to be tourists, and they would get along, and there'd be no issues. You could take 100 Americans and take them to China, and they'd all get along, and everyone's going to be nice to the Americans, and everybody's going. You can do that in Germany, France, Italy, Africa, South Africa, Peru, right, Mexico. Unless you run into some cartel people in Mexico.
For the sake of
who
argument,
wanna-
I'll agree. All right.
People get along. Governments do not, for whatever reason. But so if you text something, in China they don't usually like, they a lot chat, not a lot of text, but they use an app called WeChat. And if you use WeChat and you say something derogatory about the government, right, the collective WeChat. And if you say something derogatory about the government, you get visited. It'd be like threatening the life of the president.
Well,
You're sitting at home one day, and then all
that
of a sudden you
doesn't
get
seem to do much now.
Ni hao. We're here to talk about your the things you've been texting to your friends. They are not good for society.
You enjoy your life here.
Yes. And
Are
if
those
you
your
don't
children?
get, and if you don't get, if you get enough demerits or whatever they call them, if you get enough points taken away off your social score, you're not allowed to buy airline tickets, and you're not allowed to like open a bank account. Or you can open a bank account at like the Bank of Agriculture, but you can't open it at the Bank of Business.
The bank of tool rental.
Right. And this is what liberals want to create here, ultimately.
Clearly.
Right. If you have the wrong views, you're deplatformed.
I'm sorry.
Right.
AOC has announced that we need a national bank, like the post office.
Yes.
What
Everything.
could possibly go wrong?
The banking system should run as well as the post office.
How much does it lose daily?
Well, so I live over on the west side. We stopped getting mail over there because at least once a week I would get some of my neighbor's
We
mail.
stopped getting mail.
Well, it was unreliable. So the idea was,
I thought you did a Seinfeld where you tried to seal up your postman box.
right, yeah.
No, I don't want any mail.
And then-
you cannot stop.
Right, Wilford Brimley's going to come over and say, "Look, son, why don't you go get your mail?" No, so at least once a week, or every 2 weeks, but twice a month, we would get mail for somebody else. So that means that on a fairly regular basis, somebody else is getting
in
my mail. That's how banking should be.
Half the crowd would win and half would lose.
Right, it would be
Half the people would vote for this.
right. It would be the automatic
Right?
redistribution of wealth.
It's the Illinois income tax.
Right.
51% of you will be saving. Who's in
Right.
favor? 51% of the hands shoot up.
Right.
49% of you, you're getting railed.
That's right. But don't tell me about the the tyrannical
I'm a
majority.
genius.
Yeah.
That's not the way it is. You know, we
Well,
won't
so-
raise taxes. We won't raise taxes on bicycles. Yay! Two wheels good, four wheels bad.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
There we go. In a nutshell.
Well, and that was the.
I want to thank you for inviting me to the sauna.
Oh, it is. It's hot in here. It's. I think
Great place to drink an ice cold beverage.
You want a nice cold beverage? We'll have Harry
Not
come
yet.
over.
We'll take a pause.
All right. Hey, Harry, can I get a soda water? Thanks,
Double.
boss.
You get one for you?
Yeah, can you bring 2 soda waters? Thank you, sir. So, yeah, so
Bucket of Gatorade.
live, Patio Fagans. Come by, see us. It's great. Harry will get you whatever you want from the bar. So the amendment of the Illinois Constitution to allow a progressive income tax, and my understanding, you know better than I, it also allows home rule cities to institute their own income tax. Is that true or false?
Got me on that one.
Oh, we don't
Why
know.
not? Throw it in there.
You don't know.
Throw it in there. Why not?
All right. But we do know it allows a progressive income tax.
Let's pick it out in Pennsylvania.
Did you see?
Local income taxes, like 1-2% a year.
Yeah, so I think they want this. They want the city of Chicago to be able to have its own income tax.
Oh, why not?
Like New York.
Is there a tax that can you say no to?
So, for those, we're just testing, but eventually we'll be able to put this up. Have you seen this by
Are we gonna
chance?
put this thing up or no?
It's live. Yeah, it's live.
Are
We're going live.
How
Yeah, we're
many- How
live.
many subscribers do we have?
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
I mean, do we have a current count?
Yeah, I got
What
an
do we gotta
account.
say to get ourselves another subscriber?
To get subscribers? I don't know.
We're just joking.
Joking. So here,
We got Rogan numbers yet?
Rogan numbers. Yeah, we're up to Rogan numbers.
I'll tell you a Joe Rogan story.
I'll tell you a Joe Rogan story. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Harry.
Oh, you can't give straws away.
Yeah, these plastic.
What was this? A plastic straw?
kidding me?
Harry.
God,
God, Harry, will you think of the whales and the fish? Thank you.
Can I get this in a plastic bag?
Oh God. Well, so this is I exercise. I'll tell you a quick
Hey,
story.
maybe we do ya.
And then I want you
We
to
should open a bar and serve the drinks in a plastic bag. Okay, it's just a great middle finger to them.
in a plastic bag. How do you serve drinks in a plastic
We'll
bag?
find a way. It'll be the greatest, most popular. People walking around drinking
So
Mai Tais out of a big.
they talk about
jewel
what's
bag.
good for the environment, right? And
I'm helping the environment. Flop right on the sidewalk.
right. So over at the
We're
club,
out in Philadelphia. We used to have a place. They had, I think it was quarter beer night. You bring your own mug. They had a lot of laws about drinking that sort of thing in Pennsylvania. Anybody will know, but at
BYOM.
oh my lord, they had so many. But they got around it. They said bring your own mug. You could bring a mug in this big, 25 cents. What do you think happened? It was an entertaining place.
Yeah, people
on
fucked it
Wednesday
up.
nights. Yeah.
Yeah. 2% of the shitheads fucked it up for everybody else. That's life. That's how life is. That's you know what? That's America in a nutshell. I had that thought the
There
other
you
day.
go.
That
You
is
are right.
America in a nutshell.
We should get a name for those.
Yeah.
Our shower thoughts or whatever it is that we come up with these ideas. So 2%, F it up for 98%. I would hold that. Yeah, I would. Well, you could.
I think that's probably about right.
Yeah, it's about right.
That's about right.
You could. It's certainly over 1%, less than 3. So I'd call it about 2.
Yeah.
2 could really. You would making a right on red from the
Left lane.
quiet road to the busy road. Well, yes, look both ways, realize that the speed of traffic is a little higher, right? And you're good to go for a long time. And then somebody will go out there at 4 miles per hour, probably driving a Prius, and then the sign goes up, no more right on reds. Ever. For everybody.
Well, that's,
98%
right.
Because 2 people
Yeah. Don't know how to do it.
got out there like they were in a golf cart or something.
Well, and we know that
Gravel truck came to a screeching halt and, swerved into the oncoming traffic.
and we know that New Yorkers can't drive because they have it banned. It was so bad in New York, they banned right turns on red.
Uber drivers are pretty close to that. Here's another.
Yeah,
thought
we
of
can do a whole
mine.
hour on Uber drivers.
Uber has to have. If you got an Uber sticker on it, and you drive like a moron, somebody should be. You should be able to report that number, that plate number back
yeah.
to Uber,
Yeah.
and just say, "Hey, these guys got to go to re-education camp or drivers re-education camp." We know we got a political re-education camp coming. We are probably
No
the
one
first
has
graduates of that class number one.
I can tell you, nobody has complained about more Uber drivers than I have. I don't think it's possible. Like, here's the other issue. I might be one of I'm not the only, but I'm one of the few people that had the grand honor
Sucksabigone.com.
of being in an automobile accident while being in a lift.
Wait, you were in?
I was in the
vehicle,
lift going to Midway from my house.
and he found a way to bump into something.
And we were in the right lane over. This is a great story because for those of you who know the neighborhoods, we were at I want to say like Pulaski and
Southwest
Ogden.
side.
Yeah,
Down there, Southwest, gotcha.
yeah. So it was
Wait, Pulaski and about 40th and Pulaski by the Burger King?
yeah, but it was at Ogden though, at Ogden. And so we were in the right-hand lane, and somebody from the left-hand lane turned. Said there was traffic in the left-hand lane was backed up for people waiting to make the left. Some guy says, "I don't want to wait to make the
Swerved into
left."
you.
Swerves into the right-hand lane and collides with the lift that I happen to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm at Homan and Ogden,
Beautiful area.
which is a beautiful neighborhood. I'm in Homan and Ogden.
With the clock ticking.
With the clock ticking. I have a flight in 40 minutes because I'm always running on time. And you know how hard it is to get another fucking lift at Holman and Ogden? So tell your story about surge pricing, because I like the surge pricing story.
Brilliant strategy.
Yeah,
out of
tell your story about surge pricing.
So the poor Uber drivers can't make any money, and which is amazing because they're all over the place. And so they're off at O'Hare, and they've found a way to jimmy the algorithm, which, God bless these folks. Every trader in America is trying to jimmy an algorithm. So they decided, perhaps via app or hand signal or a wink or something like that, they all shut off the app at the same time. Hold off for 5 minutes or whatever. Uber's app kicks in, or their algorithm kicks in, and creates surge pricing. I think surge pricing, I'm not as familiar with, at least doubles.
Yep.
At least doubles. It could quadruple, etc. So they all log back in 5 minutes later and enjoy a profitable afternoon.
Yeah. So that's hilarious. So what happens is...
Which they probably are patting themselves out on the back for inventing it and are now ready to kill the guy who spilled the beans. Because...
Oh, sure. Somebody spilled the beans.
Uber's going to tweak that one right off the bat.
Well, I don't think the people over at Uber are dumb.
That they are not.
I mean,
they got 10 million people driving.
The company's never made a nickel. The company, as far as I can tell, is never going to make a nickel.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
I don't get it. You're taking 35% of the tab.
I thought 30.
35%. No, I've seen it a little higher, but 35% of the tab, and you still can't. And the tab is the bus fare. It's insanity. I don't get it.
Yeah, a lot of these tech companies are so heavy. They hire people that they don't know what the hell they're doing. Like Google has staff that nobody knows, and Amazon has staff that nobody knows what they do. They work every day. They show up. They collect a huge paycheck, but no one's really sure exactly what the hell they do. I think Uber's the same way. They got the finance department is 600 people. I mean, how many employees are there at Uber? We should probably look that up.
It's a glorious day when those places do have layoffs and cutbacks.
Oh, they're going to have cutbacks.
It's like the journalism folks when they have a cutback.
Learn to code.
Learn to code, which is what the journalists had told all the coal miners.
Yeah.
Learn to code. And many of them did.
For those that don't know the joke, journalists, when the coal miners were closing,
coal miners were getting laid off, and Groves, the industry was being shut down as rapidly as possibly could.
Under Barack Obama.
Journalists were known for telling laid off coal miners to learn to code computers onto your next career. Well, fast forward 6+ years, and journalists are getting laid off, and people...
Chicago's finest.
Exactly. Mayor Lightfoot's...
Mayor Lightfoot's Chicago's finest.
Mayor Lightfoot's first homicide.
I'm sorry, run that by one more
Mayor
time.
Lightfoot's first homicide.
First homicide.
Maybe we could keep track. This is day one.
Oh, day
This
one.
is full
Yeah,
day
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Who gets credit for yesterday?
I don't know.
Somebody had to drop yesterday.
Our friends at HeyJackass.com. Keep track of that. Ding. For those that don't know, HeyJackass.com.
So, yeah, you tell a journalist learn to code, and you are banned from social media.
Right.
Multiple
It's hate
platforms.
speech.
Hate facts, hate speech.
Hate facts, hate speech.
I hate hate.
Hate. Don't be a hater. Hate haters. But it's okay to hate haters. Wait a minute.
If certified.
All right. So I forgot where we were. We talked about Uber. So
Yeah, learn to code for the Uber
I
drivers.
wanted to talk about this. Have you seen this? This was a mailer that's going around. There's a mailer going around that is, it says, soon the General Assembly, that's the Illinois General Assembly, will vote on whether Illinoisans like you can have a say on the fair tax. Have you seen this?
What could you possibly not like about that? It's a fair tax.
It's a fair tax.
Are you against the fair
Well, wait, hey,
tax?
it's even worse than that. And I got to take my glasses off because I can't see for shit. So here's what the mailer says. Ready? If your legislature votes yes, well, then all Illinoisans, like you, will have a say at the polls next November to decide what kind of tax system they want. If your legislature votes no,
We're gonna finally get the fat cats.
if your legislator votes no, then Illinoisans will not get the opportunity to decide what kind of tax system they want.
Wait, then Illinoisans will not. So we'll be ruled by Wisconsinites or Indiana?
I don't. Right, we don't get a say.
Well,
Illinois voters deserve
for
the
one,
opportunity to
look,
decide what
I,
kind
for
of
one,
tax
welcome.
system that works for everyone or just one that works for just the wealthy few. Yeah. This is from Think Big, Illinois. Boy, that is some genius marketing right there. Yeah, it's a whole lot easier to make an argument if you don't have to tie it to the truth. Right? That's the bottom line. If you're allowed to lie...
How is it that we're so educated and we have to read such lowbrow...
We're educated. Who says we're educated? I think
No, it's an educated...
It's an education problem.
No, we've been around for a few hundred years in Chicago. 1800, so that's 200 years. How is it that we see silliness like this? It just doesn't. It sounds absurd. The fair tax. How can it not be fair?
Well, hang on. I don't object.
Love him or hate him.
I object to the term that this
the
is somehow-
Pritzker Ronner class of Illinois does pay a substantial amount of the total tax.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, here.
How is that? How is it?
We know
is fair. When
we know
they're
that
talking
40,
about fair, they say
we go back to
more.
Mitt Romney, right? This is on the federal level, not the state level. But
here we are going to get
Mitt
bad.
Romney. I was going to say Rip Romney. What the hell's his name? Mitt Romney.
Mitt with the dog.
And his 47% number.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You get 47% of the people paying no tax.
In what society do you allow
half your people to ride for free?
Half of your people to do the heavy lifting.
Right. It's absurd.
Well, I think you can make the argument where you say
they're not free riders.
They're truly not free riders.
Right.
You know
they pay sales tax.
They
pay gas tax.
Exactly, the sales tax, and so that's truly regressive. So all those things, that's 7 cents a bag they pay for that.
Well, they don't pay 7 cents a bag.
Well, hold off a sec. That all those pieces, it's still they pay tax on, granted it's less, it's 2% on food, etc. But when they need to purchase something, a car, a $10,000 car, that tax that they pay is the same that, it's Ronner can. The higher end,
yeah, but
doesn't feel
they buy a $3,000 or $4,000 car
versus a $30,000 car.
Ronner buys an airplane. The Ricketts family has 3 jets over at Midway.
God bless them. So
who's paying more, right? Like we talked about the Perillo house, the Fields house, the Perillo,
P.A. Perillo house.
Perillo.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Real quick background: house on Burling in the over by Oz Park.
Recently came on the market again.
1700 block, 15, something like that.
$42 million.
No, it's $45 million.
I think they'll
Previously,
take 42.
they lowered it again.
I think they'll take 42. So
I think
42 today.
Previously on the market for
Sold.
$50 million.
Asking.
And we'll pull up a graphic some other point with a real estate person we'll talk about. The real estate taxes on the property are like $300,000 a year, which is incredibly low at a $40 million valuation. If it sells at even $30 million, the taxes are going to go up dramatically. Right? Barrios, who's the new assessor? Barrios is out. Do we have who's
Fritz Kagi, right?
I don't know who it is.
I believe.
Well, that's because you know Nora. But you can't argue that the guy who's got the $1 million house ain't paying a whopper of frickin' property tax.
How much should he pay?
I don't know what he should pay, but here's the issue. If you look at the demographics, if you looked at a map of the city,
Right.
and you said this neighborhood's paying this amount of money, this percentage,
Just
you will
ma-
find that Lincoln Park
I
downtown,
he's pulling the cart.
the West Loop,
Clearly.
is pulling
Clearly,
the cart without a
okay,
doubt.
let's just go back to way back when. Let's go to think of a society such as like the Oklahoma Sooners or the first settlers in America in the Southwest, or the Pilgrims, or the early colonials. Could you imagine they get there and everybody's setting up camps? Somebody has a beautiful log cabin. Somebody's got a beautiful teepee. Somebody's got a beautiful adobe hut, and they say, "Okay, you're going to be paying 10 times more to the public good than this other fella." How long would that last? And
Yeah.
I say, hey, you got to start carrying. You know what? If you don't have anything to do, I got you a broom, and you're going to start sweeping out in
Yeah.
front of my beautiful log cabin here. Right? Not for long. You couldn't say, "Oh no," but the argument goes out there now. There's people out there now. They're saying we have right to the American social safety net. Migrants, you call them illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants or whatever, they're either walking in the door and saying we have right to that. Wait a second. When did we get to say slow it down? And that was a kind of a beautiful thing. A flat tax we were talking about flat tax. What was it? Only like 2006,
Steve Forbes.
right? Was
Yeah.
that 2008 primary? Steve Forbes, and that would be the Obama election number 1, and I believe so. Nonetheless, around then we're talking about flat tax. We've gone from that, and in a short time later we're talking about
Yeah, right. The movement of the Overton window in
It's
those
gone-
8 years,
it's
right?
simply
right.
swung the other
Right,
way,
right,
and we're
right.
going to move from, and this is just the Illinois income tax, and they get taxes from every stripe around here, but for the income tax, we got to get the income tax. Why do they get so excited about the income taxes? Is it because they know that the uber wealthy are no longer Illinois residents?
Well, that's what happens. Ultimately, I mean, look, Illinois is shrinking, right? That's a whole nother... And it's a little bit of each, right? There's some poor. I don't think the poor is
if you think you're going to impose a LaSalle Street tax and on every future option contract exchange downtown,
Well, that's
that they're going to
ridiculous.
pick up
Yeah.
they're going to pick up a tax that had never existed before. It's not You're not going to raise it from a 0.001 to a 0.002. No, you're going to pick up money that never existed before. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think that those exchanges are going to stay here?
No, the
Or
exchange
you're
will
just going
move.
to... No, they clearly they went and got a space, platform space in Indiana.
Right.
No, it's already ready to go there. You go ahead and play your
Right.
silly games.
Right.
I don't know what you guys are going to do in the dead of night when we're dressing up for the next morning, but you might come in and see a little hand printed note on the window. Please report to
Right.
here's your login, Hammond, Indiana. Adios.
Right, well, that's the truth, right? And that's right. What we're talking about is
What tax? Every tax that they
a
come.
transaction tax on, like, the Chicago Board of
They've
Mercantile
been
Exchange or something
playing
like
with
that. They've
that
talked about
since
it.
the early 90s.
Right. It's the teachers union brings it up. They seem to like it a lot. They seem to think it's going to raise hundreds of millions of dollars because of whatever.
It's
And
sitting there.
The
It's just
idea
sitting
is
there.
that it's absurd to think that there's hundreds of millions of dollars just waiting, that the people who invest the money are going to do nothing. Right? Yeah. It's a lot. It's true, like in
That
business.
river will just keep flowing right through here. All you got to
Right.
do is tax it.
And the truth of the matter is, no.
It's like the Colorado River. It's
The
you
exchange.
just put a hydroelectric dam on it,
Right.
and you're just going to be picking up
forever.
forever. No
Yeah.
problemo.
No, I get it. And the idea is the exchange is not like you see in trading places, right? The days
It's
of
all gone.
writing
gone.
writting your order on a chit and
It's
throwing
gone.
it to a
It's-
runner who
it's
picks
gone.
it up and
It's
runs it to
gone.
some desk in somewhere.
Well, it's
and enters
gone
it
in
as
that regard,
ridiculous.
but it's the thinking behind it is what the problem is.
No, but the idea is you can move. Right, you can move the exchange over the weekend.
Right.
Quite literally,
aside, we keep saying taxes. We keep talking about taxes. Stop. Start. That's revenue. Keep talking about revenue. Look at the other way. Let's compare ourselves to the other states. How much does our Leviathan, our city, county, state, federal cost? Why does it cost so much here that it doesn't cost it in other areas? And that's a real concern. People are flowing out of Illinois, and we don't. If anybody doesn't know the facts or figures, we'll be happy to provide you with a dossier of information on how they are flowing out, and just a negative all around in that regard. It doesn't seem like we're voting our way back into economic prosperity or sanity. I don't see the county is currently run by Tony Preckwinkle oligarchy, and he's not a small government type by any man.
Yeah, well, people get the government that they deserve, right? And I think there's and the people who move are the people who have resigned themselves that you can't fight City Hall, and they go, it's easier to move. It's just easier.
There's a sharp guy, I think Steve Keats, or Roger Keats. He was a state rep or state senator. He was Republican, kind of a moderate Republican, if anything. And he's from Wilmette area. And he wrote a farewell letter. It's at least 20 years old now. Pure comedy, if you look back and read it. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Roger Keats, farewell letter to Illinois, and he was deeply involved in state politics forever, and he had moved, I believe, to Texas. Nonetheless, he said, "All hope is lost. I sold the house. It's all yours. As soon as the house closed, screw you, folks. I'm gone."
Right.
And
he
by the way,
pulled
this
the
thing's
curtain.
all broken down. You can't go. Good luck with you. I'd love to see. Here's a good homework project. Find what Roger Keats' home was valued at and taxed at versus what it is now.
Sure.
And that could give you the Keatsometer. It was like he said it was going bad. But I had an interesting conversation earlier today with somebody that said how certain folks were comfortable with high local property tax, and in certain areas, stemmed off of something like Nevada and Texas were high property tax. Right away, I knew there was something a little fishy there. I know Texas is relatively high because there's no income tax, but I know Nevada is not so much, not as high. And I did a little, 10 seconds of research, was able to find it out there. In certain states are higher local property tax, particularly in the Northeast. They're more comfortable with their local taxes being higher. Why is that? Why are those folks? And it comes down to this. It's not so simple. It's if local areas, and let's just talk about some areas that we know, if they know that their local property tax goes to their schools, doesn't go to the county schools, doesn't go to the state, it goes right to their schools. So it makes Barrington High School that much nicer, Hinsdale Central High School that much nicer. It goes to their parks, their facilities. They have local golf courses that they all do. They often have senior centers that didn't exist many years ago, but now they all have some really nice community centers. If they know the money's going there, it essentially becomes a gated community. It's a club in effect. They have swimming pools and golf courses and beautiful schools and comfortable schools and beautiful parks, beaches. So they're comfortable with those taxes. Now with the SALT capped at $10,000 a year, well, that was all the deductible. So if you're making a nice paycheck and living in those areas, well, that's okay, because look at that. All you have to do is get into, let's just pick a Hinsdale, for instance. All you have to do is get in there and look at the benefits you get. Now, obviously, golf is not free, but they have different rates, obviously, and locals get first dibs on all that sort of stuff, especially the park districts. Some of the park district program that I've seen, it's staggering what the offerings. It makes perfect sense that for families to be there. It's in Fitness South for a long time, and we'd have these park districts. They'd have the fitness centers, community fitness centers. They're rival colleges. They're certainly better than what we recall from our days. They're nicer than ever. But now that SALT's limited at $10,000 a year, SALT deduction is limited to $10,000 a year, they might be coming around on that. They might be saying it might be a sea change where to protest an increased property tax levy in certain of these areas, particularly if they said it was going for education, you would be ostracized. There's something wrong with you if you ever said, I think the local school has enough. Now, they'll let it flow.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, and I think the concept is my cousin lives out in Buffalo Grove, and they have put up with ridiculously high property taxes because their kids go to Stevenson.
Hey, since we might have a viewer someday, and we don't talk to ourselves, if you were to try to just get a property tax number from Buffalo Grove, what would you do? How would you look it up without having to go through? You would go to you like to look up Redfin or Zillow?
I use Zillow. Yeah, usually
so
use Zillow.
You can simply scroll down and see a property tax history.
If it's listed, yeah. I don't know that it's listed for all properties.
Okay, so if a house,
I mean, I know that this one is because I've looked it up.
123 Main Street in Buffalo Grove, it's sold recently, maybe in the last couple of years. It's probably on Zillow.
Yep.
And all you can do is search that on Zillow, and you scroll down, and you'll be able to see.
Yeah, you get the property taxes.
And it'll be a couple years old, a bit dated, but you'll get a rough.
I don't think so. I think that I think they keep the database up to speed. I think they really do. And the other issue is you can always find a piece of property that's been listed.
Sure.
Look at a current listing, because the information in a current listing generally comes from the MLS listing. So the realtor, the real estate agent, will have put the correct information inside the real estate listing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
And that they're not going to lie on the taxes.
So what are we looking at? Standard 4-bedroom house in Buffalo Grove. That's around $600.
Less. I mean, it varies a lot on subdivision.
Sure.
So
$500.
My cousin happens to live in a very older subdivision.
Okay.
I think that their place is listed at $399.
Oh, you can get in at $400 in Buffalo Grove in a modest area.
Yeah.
And so, what are we looking at annual property tax in there?
$10,000.
That's not too bad. I mean, relative to others. I'm not saying it's cheap, but I've heard far worse.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. I was right.
Are they in the Cook County side or the Lake County side?
They're on the Lake County side.
There's part of it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that 2/3 of the tax bill though is the school district, right? 2/3 of the tax bill is it's just like here in the city, right? 2/3 is CPS, 2/3 is Stevenson.
and to their facilities, which are staggering.
And I suppose the issue is if you can move into the school district at the right time and move out at the right time, it's a good deal.
There should be a name for that.
When you
putting your for sale sign when the youngest heads off of college.
Oh yeah, that's what they did. Absolutely, their youngest is graduating and
scuttling the ships, right? Right. Drop that sign and hey, Junior, hey, take a look.
Yeah.
Right. Don't change majors.
Right. I mean, that's the idea. Well, I mean, the issue is that look, it's when my parents sold the house up on the northwest side,
right.
someone had asked, my dad said, it's somebody else's turn to own this house.
Sure.
We didn't need to live 3 doors from the private Catholic school anymore.
No.
All right,
No.
we were all done.
Yeah. Pass the baton.
Pass the baton.
And he had that. Your family had that for.
One more time?
Your family had that for about 20
25, 26 years.
25.
Something like that.
That's a very good. I think standard is it's dated. I thought it was 7 years, but I think that's
7?
I think it's inside that now.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, I think so many people, as they struggle so mightily. All right. Well, what else is on your mind? Anything? We're at 1 hour and 6 minutes.
You're kidding me. Not that interesting. Over an hour
Not
and
that
6
interesting.
minutes.
You're not that interesting?
Not over an
I'm
hour
not that
and
interesting? We'll have to see how
Why don't we
wrap it up. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. I think my audio, I talk louder. You don't talk loud enough. I'll make that observation.
You can see that?
Yes, I can see that. So you're gonna,
I'm gonna need to go to a stylist. I'm gonna need a budget for Botox. I'm gonna need some.
you can get a high colonic 2 doors down. You can stop right over there. They'll be happy to clean you out.
I keep going there, and I think we're up to garden hose now, and it's
But
I'm feeling a bit bloated.
yeah, feeling a little bit bloated, feeling a little heavy. Feel like you're carrying a little too much.
I go in there and say, well, what's your max?
I don't know much about that. I just my wife worked in the hospital for a while, and my understanding is the procedure is something like this: that they put a bunch of water or solvent or whatever it is, salts, whatever it is, some sort of some sort
Pay
of
more for like an imported water.
some sort of cleanse. They put the Perrier up there,
Perrier. I'll have to go with the Perrier.
and then they tell you to hold it for as long as you can.
Don't sneeze.
And and I'm not sure. I don't know if that's
Imagine the sneeze guard over there.
Yeah.
A whole different man.
No, I don't know if that's.
You walk into the places, they're fully tiled.
Oh yeah, with a drain in the floor.
with graded floor and a
Yeah,
complete
without a doubt.
install.
Yeah, it looks like Hannibal Lecter's basement is what it looks like.
Abattoir.
Yeah.
From a medieval butchery.
And I'm not sure what the holding it does other than cause discomfort, but that's what they
it's
say.
garbage.
Yeah.
You know it's garbage.
So
It's garbage.
I don't know. I think the idea is improve your diet. No, I mean, isn't that?
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, when I worked at Abbott,
Go a
who
little.
will remain nameless, he went and had that
Shout
done.
out to Abbott Laboratories, North Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah. Ding.
He completely ignored the pharmaceuticals which they supply.
Right.
And he went the pseudoscience route of.
I forget how that was, but he was talking about, some woman was telling him that by the time you're like my age, you have black ropes. You have all the like undigested meat
Bunko, that is such bunko.
that
They
you've
put
eaten.
stuff in there that
They call it black rope. You have black rope in your intestines that needs to get out every once in a
Night
while.
of Guinness, maybe but
It's what?
maybe after a night of Guinness.
Yeah.
Shout out to Guinness breweries.
Well, one of my times in China, I think
Double
I had food poisoning, and I assure you that I have no black ropes.
I can assure you I have nothing left.
Because I assure you that after the 26-hour ride home on 3 different airplanes,
And my apologies to the staff.
yeah,
of those
to
three.
everybody who was on the plane and the staff, especially the staff in San Francisco when I boarded early.
Decommissioned the 737.
Yeah, it was.
That was the first decommission.
I think
of the
that's why the
737.
Boeing is having problems with the 737 Maxes. It was an unfortunate situation, but I had food poisoning. It's that's what happens when you eat at the Chinese, the hot pot at the Chinese place. Good evening. How are you, sir? Yeah, go ahead, dig in. All good. You're not going to bother us at all. So that's it. So we're hour and 10 minutes. There you go. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
So here we are. I bought pubcasting. We call it pubcasts.
This is who we are now.
This is who we are.
This is it.
This is it. We're Trump people now. We're pubcast people now.
We are.
So, all right. So whatever it is, it's the 22nd of May. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go out and enjoy it. I got some other things to do. Got to go earn some nickels. Live from sun's coming out. Might go flying. Who knows? So live from Patio Fagan's Pubcasting, episode Beta 1 out.
Lake and Halstead, Chicago, Illinois.
Lake and Halstead. Ding, Chicago, Illinois. Checking out. Be well, people. Be well.